wake up and your phone is already in your hand. Not because you want to scroll, but because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're still hoping the numbers changed overnight. Same listings, same prices, $600,000. You stare at it longer than you should. You imagine the rooms, the light through the windows, the feeling of finally not feeling temporary, and then reality creeps back in. You start doing the math in your head. Again, mortgage, interest, taxes, insurance. Your chest tightens just a little because no matter how many times you calculate it, the answer keeps coming back the same. This isn't for you, not yet, and not yet has been following you for years. You get up, you go to work, you do what you're supposed to do. You're responsible, you're careful, you don't blow money on stupid things. But every month feels like sand slipping through your fingers. Rent leaves first, then utilities, then food, then the small things you don't remember agreeing to. Subscriptions, fees, random expenses that somehow feel mandatory now. By the time you check your balance, the moment's already gone. You tell yourself it's fine. You're still young. You still have time. But the clock doesn't feel patient anymore. You hear people talk about buying homes like it's normal, casual, almost effortless. They say things like, we just made it work. But they never show the spreadsheet. They never show the safety net. They never show the years before the keys. So you smile, you nod, and later that night, you quietly open a calculator again. This time slower, more careful. You reduce the number. What if the house was smaller? What if the rate dropped? What if you stretched just a little more? But every version ends the same way. Too tight, too risky, too fragile. One mistake away from collapse. And the scariest part isn't that you can't afford it. It's that you don't know how people like you ever do. You start questioning yourself. Did you choose the wrong career? Did you start too late? Did you miss something everyone else understood? The doubt is quiet, but it's constant. It follows you through your day. It shows up when you're standing in line, when you're driving home, when you're trying to fall asleep. You're not panicking. You're just worn down because no one tells you how exhausting it is to keep doing everything right and still feel behind. So you wait. You wait for the raise. You wait for the market to cool. You wait for the timing to feel safe. You wait for permission. And that waiting feels responsible. It feels smart. But slowly, almost invisibly, it becomes your default. Not action, not decision. Waiting. That's the real weight you're carrying. Not the house, not the price, the pause. Because comfort doesn't look dangerous. It looks reasonable. Comfort says, you've got time. You're doing okay. There's no rush. Comfort keeps the pain quiet enough that you don't feel forced to move. And that's why it wins. Not because you're weak, but because you're capable. Capable people adapt. They endure. They find ways to survive without breaking. But survival isn't the same as progress. And this is where most people get stuck. They think the problem is motivation, that they just need to want it more, push harder, visualize better. But here's the truth. No amount of motivation will ever make a $600,000 house affordable. Motivation fades. Numbers don't. This isn't about how badly you want it. It's about alignment. About whether your daily choices match the life you keep imagining. About whether the person you are right now is built for the future you say you want. And this is where everything shifts. Because the question stops being, can I afford this? And becomes, who am I becoming? Not someday. Not after. Things get easier. Now. Because houses don't just test income. They test identity. They test patience, restraint, consistency. They expose every habit that exists on autopilot. Discipline isn't grinding. It isn't misery. It isn't deprivation. It's clarity. It's knowing what matters and refusing to let everything else drain you slowly. It's choosing long-term relief over short-term comfort. Discipline is saying, I don't need this version of ease, because ease that costs your future isn't peace. It's delay disguised as safety. Freedom doesn't come from more money first. It comes from control. Control over impulses, control over decisions, control over time. That's why some people afford things that seem impossible from the outside. Not because they're special, not because they got lucky, but because their lives aren't leaking energy in 100 invisible places. They decided early what they were willing to say no to, and they kept that promise long after the excitement wore off. Most people never do that. They keep waiting for confidence to show up before commitment. But confidence is built after consistency, not before it. So they stay in the loop. Look, calculate, wait, look again next year. Same math, same frustration. And the years pass quietly. That's the uncomfortable truth. Not that the house is expensive, but that time is. Every year you delay deciding who you are, the future gets more expensive to enter. And you feel that pressure now. That's why this hits. Because somewhere, deep down, you already know this isn't about 2026. It's about whether you keep drifting or finally choose direction. No one is coming to tell you you're ready. No market crash will magically fix identity. No rate cut will replace discipline. And that realization stings. But it's also the first honest moment. Because the version of you who can afford a $600,000 house doesn't appear suddenly. They're built quietly, in boring decisions, in repeated restraint, in days no one applauds. They don't look dramatic. They look consistent. And that's why most people never become them. So now you're here, still looking at the number, still feeling that mix of hope and frustration. But now, there's something else underneath it. Awareness that this isn't about the house anymore. It's about whether you stay who you are or grow into the person this future actually requires. Because both paths are available. One feels easier today. One feels heavier now. But only one makes that number feel normal someday. And the question isn't which one sounds better. It's which one you're willing to live with when another year passes and nothing changes. So when you see that listing again, and your instinct is to close the tab, ask yourself this quietly. Are you waiting for the math to change? Or are you finally ready to change first?